We teach couples how to trade, but today we're not going to be talking about entries or exits. We're going to be talking about something a little bit more important, which is knowing when not to trade at all. My name is Chrissy,
And I'm George.
and welcome to Married to the Markets. Well, recently we had a passing in our family. George's mom passed away
Yeah.
recently from stage 4 cancer. And there were days where he was going through the process and he felt like he could trade. And me being his wife, his partner, his right hand, I have to recognize the signs. And regardless if you're the wife or the husband, you have to recognize certain signs in the person. And I had to let him know this is not a time for you to trade, and I got you. And sometimes I think that's really powerful when you hear someone tell you they got you. You go, you take care of your family, you do what you need to do, and I'm going to be here and I will take on this responsibility for us.
I appreciate that from you. For the last 2 months, it's been tough. And when someone is going through something emotionally, it's always good to have somebody to back them in their corner. And even though a lot of times I was in the hospital, you can mess up on trades easily. And I'm not gonna lie, there's days where I try to trade and I truly mess up because mentally I wasn't there. So you have to figure out where you take a stand in
Yeah. But that's
because
where the leadership in the relationship, you always have that one dominant person, but you have to step up sometimes and take on that leadership role in the relationship. And that's when I told you enough was enough. Like you don't need to trade,
yeah,
right? And I think that has to do with more of an alignment, right? Whatever goes on in your marriage will also spill over when you're trading as well. And so there are a lot of problems that can come up where a lot of beginner traders will be like, we're missing out on money
mhm,
because you're not able to trade, or, you know, we could just push through it. And that's not something that I wanted for us. I wanted to give you that mental space where you had the capability of just focusing on what you needed to focus on.
true.
I told him, I'm taking over. So I started, you guys know I'm the swing trader in the group, but I'm proud to say that, right? But I became also the day trader. I did all the mentorship. I did it all so he can have a space to let go.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people, I realize that when you're in a marriage, you might be afraid to let go because you don't know if that other person can handle
but I
it
trusted
without
you.
you.
I trusted you, and I knew that you can do it regardless. You're a great swing trader, but I trusted you. You know the process. It's like you know how we trade, you know
Yeah, and
how
we've
I
been doing
trade.
this for years, guys.
So with that, it's not by luck,
Yeah,
but it's by process that how we take trades. It's not like, oh, we're just gonna take this trade today. No,
no,
it's always has to do with setups. That's why I always say, no matter what, there's always a setup that you could take in a market.
that's
So if
true.
you're patient, you're patient. So it's me trusting you and you trusting me to say, listen, you know what, go ahead and do what you needed to do.
Yeah,
And for those 2 months, yeah, I had the urge, right?
yeah,
And some days I trade, some days I didn't. But I can see the difference in my trading. The emotional trade, the emotional setback, there's times where I knew that I wasn't supposed to trade, but I still traded.
yeah.
But for you, it's like stepping up when somebody else is going through something. That's very big, and I'm grateful for that. And that's where being married comes in as a clutch more than anything else. Because when you look at it, if I was by myself in trading, then everything had to stop, or I could have end up where I lose a lot of money,
I
I
was just
blow an
gonna say
account.
accounts can be blown
Um,
because of situations like
yeah,
this, right? Because you're not being mindful. You need to drop down your risk tolerance, like all the way down, right? Because you don't want when those emotional factors take control. I didn't want you to have to worry about like, oh my gosh, what if I lose on this trade? Is my wife gonna be like, no, I know his heart, right? And when I tell you this man is a traitor to the core, okay? I feel like it exposes who you are as an individual, right? And your marriage, just like I was saying earlier. So you got to see like where did you allow that person the space to step up in the magnitude where they maybe normally don't, because when you trade with your spouse, you all have your role. And this is where I love trading with my husband, because people say, well, how do you make it work? Don't you guys argue? Don't you guys fight? No, because we have our role. We
Yeah.
know what we do,
Yeah.
whether it be at nighttime when we're charting, we know what we're doing,
Yeah.
whether it's back testing
And
or
we always do
morning
that.
routines, like
We always do that.
everything.
We always do that in the mornings, even before we start trading. The night before, we know what the setups are, but before we even trade in the morning, we look at the trades over again, because there could be gap ups, there could be gap downs. But all right, what are the best trades for us to take? And we already have those lined up. And even with, the different roles that you're talking about,
Mhm.
the mentorship that you took over,
Yeah.
there's times where I'm going through something and then I'm calling you to talk to
I'm
you,
like,
and I'm
delete,
wondering
don't
why you're
call
not
me.
answering.
Delete.
But it blew my mind, or it didn't cross my
Yeah.
mind that shit, we had a mentorship call,
Yeah.
right? There's times where the podcast need to go on, and the podcast never stopped, guys. The
Yeah.
podcast still went on.
I did it by myself.
And she did it by herself. I wasn't here. I was in Florida taking care of
Yeah.
my mom, and unfortunately she passed. God rest her soul. But
You needed that time to grieve. You needed that time to handle the stress that you were handling. And I just think that all the emotions can emphasize certain mistakes. And I didn't want mistakes to happen. And I'm the type of person that I like to practice what I preach. And so for me to tell mentees not to trade or not to do certain things, you need to practice that. There were days, and my mentees can tell you, there were days where I'm like, I am taking a mental health day. He's like, why aren't you on the call? I am taking a mental health day.
yeah.
We're all entitled to that. To be honest,
But we
I
still gave the
no, I
trades.
gave the trades,
We still gave
right?
the setups.
I
We gave the
gave
trades, the
everything,
entries, all the
but
stuff. But
I said I needed a day
yeah,
for myself. Either my kids were sick. Like, listen, guys, I'm not just George's wife, right? Yes, I trade, but I'm also a mother. I'm also running a business. I'm also doing other things. So there was a lot that went onto my personal plate that I had to recognize that, was I okay? And if I wasn't okay, then I would not be any good to anyone else. And you have to recognize that, especially when you're trading with your spouse. Are you both in a good space? Regardless if you're going through a situation, there's people that are going through similar situations, but regardless, an argument, a fight, something could have
a
happened,
breakup.
a breakup, anything, right? Lord, right? But are you guys in a right space? Because you're
Mentally, you
also
have to be right.
correct, because you're
Because
risking your capital, and not just capital with money, like your mental capital too.
yeah, because emotionally, that's why I said there's days when I knew I wasn't supposed to trade, and it showed in the results.
So let me ask you this, because there are other people out here that are saying, man, I know what George feels like because I was there. Why still do it?
It's like, the thought of, all right, I just wanted to trade,
Yeah.
and the thought of, all right, you know what? Let me
Was it
try
like a
to.
distraction you felt? Like it would distract you from what you're going through if you focused on something else? Because, I mean, going through something that you went through is, one, very traumatic. It was a lot on you. So do you feel like when you traded, it gave you like an escape a little bit?
It give me escape, but the thing is, even when I traded, sometimes it's like the mental block, right? Because it's not that my trades weren't profitable, but it's like I'll daze out. And now I become emotional to the point where I didn't take profit and I might have losing something, and then I try to revenge trade, right? The stuff that the warning signs and the things that I teach people, I find myself kind of slowly getting into. And I have to warn myself, and I have to say,
Yeah.
all right, no, this is not going to happen.
And I had to recognize those signs. This is why I'm saying you're married. Being in alignment and
Yeah.
understanding your person in and out is truly powerful, because I had to ask you hard questions. And when you ask somebody a hard question, they give you a little pushback. But it
The
wasn't
pushback is
about,
going to come
but
back.
it wasn't in a way where I couldn't handle. It was like I needed you to recognize certain things, and you did.
Yeah.
And then you were like, you know what? You're right. I knew I was right, y'all. Okay? I knew I was right. But that wasn't the point. Sometimes it's not what you say, guys. It's how you say things.
Mhm.
When trading with your spouse, it's not the easiest task, okay?
And it's
Especially,
always how you say
it's
things because
always how you say things.
some
It's
people are
what
more
you say.
emotional than others.
Yes, that's true.
Some people are more, you know.
Stop it. No,
But
but I am that type of person. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So you have to say things in a way that I'm going to be able to receive. You know your spouse. Hurt people
hurt
hurt
people.
people. And if you're not in a good space and you're hurt, you don't need to be saying anything out of your mouth because you have a possibility of hurting someone else.
Yeah.
And when you hurt someone else's self esteem or you hurt someone else, it can trigger in all aspects. And so, one thing I love the fact is that we try not to be that type because if he was to hurt me in coming at him or whatever, then that could have turned hurt the group or hurt
Yeah.
whoever else that I'm hurting. So, you have to be very mindful of that. And so, I just think you have to be emotionally stable and not overwhelmed. And I just thought it was clear enough for me to know, like, okay, changes need to happen.
The thing is, when I was and still going through it, because it's
Yeah,
not like
it's not
my mom. My mom
100%.
only passed a week ago.
I know.
But the difficult part is knowing that something is missing, right? The daily routines or the nightly
Yeah,
routines, those are missing. But it's like, how do you get around it?
yeah,
And right now, it's a big part of it, it has to be discipline. A big part of it has to be, listen, if you have your rules set up in your trading, then you have to stick to your rules, right? If I'm feeling a little bit emotional, then maybe I don't trade, right? But I told myself, like, there's a lot of times when people lose someone, they find themselves in difficult situations or they pick up bad habits, right? And for me, instead of picking up go do something stupid, I rather dive myself more into trading or more into something that I love to do. And for me, like right now, trading, I find joy in trading.
yeah,
Not because I make money in it, but because I help others make money. I help others to make a difference. So for me, one of the promises that I made to my mom was like, yo, I want to create a foundation in your name. So to be able to do that, number one, I have to be disciplined. I have to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to live to the best of my abilities, to make sure I'm executing right, to make sure I'm developing or creating good habits. And my trading have to be on point. So for my trading to be on point, I have to follow rules. If I'm distracted, then I can't trade the way I'm supposed to. It gives me the time to say, all right, before I even start trading for the day, we always say, hey, you know what? Let's reflect on what's going on in the market, but also let's reflect on what's going on in our lives. If I don't feel the right to trade, if I can't trade that day, it's not like I can't say, hey, babe, go ahead,
yeah, of
take over,
course.
right?
That's where the lead comes in a marriage, where sometimes you need to lead and sometimes you need to step back,
Yeah.
right? And I think a lot of people can't handle that, but
They
it's
feel
just
like they
one
need to be the alpha all the time.
correct. And you just need to step aside
Yeah.
and let that person be. And, I know the group knows that you're bad because when you're trading with your spouse, you have a routine of things, right? So it was certain gospel songs that we played when he was there. There was certain intros, right? So
Yeah.
the day you came
Yeah.
back and they heard the music, the certain song, and then they heard the intro, everybody was like, "Oh, snap, George is back." Because I do things a little differently when
Yeah.
I trade, right? Now, because I don't feel the same when you're not there in regards to having that same type of it's different.
Yeah.
Remember
It's
we talk
different.
about when
Routine.
that person is not around, things are different.
Yeah, routine.
And so the routine is a little bit different, but I had my own routine that they got used to, right? But now that you're back, they're like, okay, the music, they come on early because they want to hear worship music. They want to be part of that. So it's just really nice to see that you're in a good space. Yeah,
And it takes time.
it does. And I'm not expecting him to be 100% every single,
Yeah, it
right?
takes time.
On the days where you're not, I'm here. And I've always been here. You get what I'm saying? I just love having the ability to sit down and bounce things with you and just realizing, guys, it doesn't matter, right? We're talking about marriage and we're talking about a loss of someone and how to deal with things like that. but it could be anything
Yeah.
going on in the market. Right now, we got war news going on. So, there's going to be fluctuations in the market. That doesn't mean you have to trade. You could say, you know what, this is just a little bit too much. Let me step away. Or the news is a little bit gap down, things happening. It's just craziness. It's okay. Your job is calling you. You're on the calls with your boss all the time. And we had a mentee that told me that, like, my boss is for some reason harassing, always around lately. And you can't trade. Find a different time. There's different times we know. Yes, the best time I say is in the morning, right? That momentum, that push. I love that. But then there are directional times where you said, you know what? The 1 hour, is over. I got a little time. I got a lunch break. Let me go ahead and let me trade. Like, you don't always have to trade every single day.
Yeah, and you don't have to. You don't need to
You
force.
don't need to force. Like,
You
there
don't
was
need to
trade where
force.
we did 2 trades and we're like, "You know what? We're done for the day." You got 2 profitable trades, you're done for the day. It's the over trading where you have the opportunity to give back to the market.
When you overtrade, it always a
I
possibility of
know.
getting money. So
It's true.
it's like today we traded, and they were great trades that we
Yeah.
did, and then we were done just like that. So it's just I always say like you can't explain because everybody take losses different,
Yeah.
especially when you lose someone. And I'm still trying to figure that part out as I go because every single day is different. But going through the trading aspect is just you have to be disciplined. And for me, it's like, all right, knowing that I am trading, but I'm not trading alone. And I feel like that is a big part of it,
Having the right
right?
community around you and holding you accountable
Yeah.
too.
I feel like that has a big part to do
Mhm.
with it because I'm not trading alone. Well, I did do it, and
Mm.
it wasn't the best
Yeah.
results because I did that when I was in Florida. It wasn't the best result. But being here, being home, being with my community and trading, it gives me a different accountability than me trading by myself.
Yeah.
Me trading by myself, I'll revenge trade. Me
Yeah.
trading by myself, sometimes it's like you follow your rules, but then you give it a little bit of leeway. But now it's like, all right, it's a different concept right
If
now. It's a
anybody's
different thing.
gone through what George has gone through with a loss or anything like major in your life, comment below. Let us know, how did you personally handle
Yeah.
it? It would be nice to hear other people's stories. Don't be afraid. We're all family here. So drop that down, okay? But again, it's going to expose you, right? And I just feel like the whole purpose of this episode is obviously trading with your spouse. How do you maneuver through things of this nature? Because if you have tension already in your marriage, that tension will grow.
Yeah.
If you don't have unity, that separation will pull you apart even further, right? So when you
Support.
have the support, you have the leadership, it sharpens you, it makes you better. There's no chaos, so there's less explosions going on in your life, I would say. But it's just very important to have people that are holding you accountable, that understands how important alignment is, and that your peace is the most important thing that you have. So, what I wanted to tell all the traders that are out there, couples that are trading together, is that ask each other before you start what place you're in, right?
Yeah.
Ask each other, are you mentally clear right now? And if the answer is no, then you need to just step away and the market will be there tomorrow.
Yep.
All
It'll be
right.
there next week.
Because
It'll
the
be there
whole
next
thing
month.
is, our whole purpose of Married to the Market is for you to trade with structure, for you to have clarity and unity in your marriage. And that's what we teach inside Married to the Market, because we are an example, right? And we want to be example to other married people to let you know that you can do this. So if you guys want a safe space, come on over. We do have a Discord called Married to the Market. We have one TikTok, okay, guys? I know there's 30 out there, but there's only one of us and everything. All the description, everything is going to be dropped below. We do mentorship. We do it together as a married couple. So it encourages other married couples that you can do this with the right strategy and structure. We wanted to take a quick break and say thank you guys so much for watching this video. Did you know that 80% of the people that are watching this video are not subscribed? And you might be one of those people just as well. And if you are, do us a favor and click that subscribe button and join us on this journey. Watching this video, that means you might be interested in options trading.
I'm not sure if this is for you, but I wanted to let you know that George and I have a 6-week mentorship called Married to the Market. We'll be teaching you everything about options trading and holding your hand throughout this process. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, make sure you pause this video and check the description because we're going to be putting all the information that you need and to see if you're qualified for this. So if this is something that you want, we would love to have you guys in the Married to the Market family. So guys, let's go ahead and jump back into the video.
So if
Yeah.
that's something that you guys are interested, just go into the description, fill that out, and come on over and let's have a little chat. But other than that, guys, that's really what we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
It's powerful when you have the right alignment. All right. So with that being said, we're going to see you guys on the next podcast.
All right, guys.
Bye.